written the history. The academics are, I am happy as a Jew that there was such study of the Nazis and the Holocaust. It was worthy study. But as a human, I am not happy at the ignorance and inattention to communist evil. Mao killed at least 60 million people, maybe 80 million. And Stalin is between 20 and 40 million. The Ukrainians were starved to death, deliberately starved to death. If a peasant stole food, he was killed. The hero of the Soviet Union in the early 1930s was a boy named Pavlik Morozov because he snitched on his father. He was Ukrainian. He snitched to the communist authorities. My father stole food for the family. They executed the father and made a postage stamp with Pavlik Morozov. It's a perfect example.
Well, and it circles back to your...
Yes, substitute for the undermined parental authority. Kids are told in America, in some places, you know, if your parents say something racist, you should let us know. And something racist, remember, is that I believe you should be colorblind. That's called racist.
Well, so this is actually another interesting vantage point here, and this is how I've heard from a number of people that since coronavirus, and so many people are stuck at home for prolonged periods of time, forced into homeschooling, so to speak. Okay, and what I've been hearing, and I don't have any data on this at this point, is that a lot of them are kind of thinking this might be a good idea in the longer term.
I hope that's true. I hope it's, you know, that Harvard Magazine just published an article by a professor, about a professor who wants to ban homeschooling because that gives parents authority over the state. It's a perfect example. The left loathes homeschooling. In Germany, you can't do it. It's actually banned.
Really?
Yeah.
Of all places.
Isn't that odd? Maybe they're afraid you'll teach a kid to be a Nazi. Here, they're afraid you'll teach a kid to be a Christian.
It said, I mean, Germany, it's fascinating to me because there's also this kind of affinity for communist China relative to some, certainly
Is that right?
Poland. Well, an interest in doing business.
Oh, well, I think that's true for all of Western Europe. See, the collapse of Judeo-Christian principles has an effect. You stop thinking morally. You use moral terms. We love humanity. We want to save the planet. We are anti-racist. But so China, the Chinese government, is a totalitarian one. What do we care? The Iranian government is a totalitarian theocracy. What do we care? Their greatest single aim is to have another Holocaust of Jews. They say it. We wish to eradicate Israel. It's the only country on earth that announces it wants to eradicate another country on earth. And the Europeans are dying to do business, and the Democrats and the never-Trumpers hate Trump for getting out of the Iran deal that Obama made. And they claim to be moral thinkers. That's the delusion of the left.
It's the whole Iran deal thing fascinates me in that I think most of society, from what I remember, it's quite a high percentage of people didn't want it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Back in the day, right?
If the combination of the universities, the New York Times and Washington Post, NBC, CBS, ABC, and the President of the United States, you'll prevail over the majority of Americans. That's what Obama had with the Iran deal.
We're in a very difficult time in American history, let's say. You mentioned this at the beginning, an unprecedented level of censorship, I guess, that
A a caller, not on my radio show, but aside from my fireside chat every week for Prager University, I now have started answering questions live Facebook once a week for an hour. Somebody wrote in, I don't remember what state, they come from other countries as well, but this was an American question. They are planning all to take a knee at my place of work. If I don't, I will be fired. Dennis, what should I do? Now, can you imagine if there was a business that said, tomorrow we are all getting together and I want you all to make the sign of the cross. And if you don't, you're fired. Country would erupt against that business. It would be put out of business. They'd be arrested or they would be put in jail. But the left-wing religion, whatever at any given moment it is, environmentalism, feminism, Marxism, or anti-racism, that we can coerce. It's okay to fire somebody who doesn't take a knee against racism.
You know, it also, everything you're describing turns the concept of you mentioned anti-racist, being anti-racist. What does that actually mean? In this day and age, it's used one way, but it means something quite different.
Right. It means help us crush any opposition to the left. That's what it means. As it meant for communists, that's what anti-fascism meant for communism. That's exactly right. It's what anti-communism meant for fascists.
Okay, Dennis, so what's your prescription?
Well, the immediate prescription and the long-range prescription. I work more in the long range, but the immediate is to fight. Is to put on Facebook a good article or a good interview. If you're unfriended, they were never friends. I would never unfriend somebody. If a relative sent me a liberal or left-wing video, I would never unfriend them. It wouldn't even occur to me to do so. Give you an example of the difference in tolerance. A story was told to me by Adam Carolla on my radio show. He and I made No Safe Spaces. And Ellen DeGeneres, 2 years ago, no, a year ago, actually, sorry, a year ago, not even a year ago, was at a football game with former President George W. Bush in Texas. She was denounced by leftists on her Twitter page and Facebook. She was just denounced. How could you be with that right-wing conservative ex-president, the man who Bush lied, people died, etc. And he made the point, Adam Carolla, that not one conservative said, Bush, how could you be with that lesbian left-winger? It doesn't matter to us. Of course you should watch a football game with a gay left-winger or a straight left-winger or a gay conservative or whatever. It's football. We don't poison everything. They poison everything. The hate is 98% from the left. By the way, talking about football, I don't see how people are going to... I could not watch a football game now. After the not chairman, what is he called? Of football, Roger Goodell.
Is it
The president?
president?
No, it's commissioner, I think.
Okay.
And America is racist. It's systemically racist. Whites are racist. And so I ask people, these players, including white players, are saying to their fans, you're scumbags. Because, let's be honest, a racist is a scumbag. I'm sorry to use such language. I don't know nice, what am I going to say, naughty? A racist is a terrible human being. That's a very bad thing to be. So here is what the theory is. We can call the fans low-life racists, but we expect them to cheer for us. Just my dignity alone would not allow me to do that. I could not watch a football game now knowing the contempt with which they hold me because of my race. It's astonishing that people will cheer them on. Well, except for leftists. So you have to fight. That's the immediate. The long range is we have to return to the American Trinity. It's not the Christian Trinity, the American Trinity. It's on every coin. I didn't make it up. I made up the term, but it's on every coin. Liberty, e pluribus unum, in God we trust. That's the unique American value system. Not equality. Any serious movement to material equality involves violence. At the very least, stealing from people. The French Revolution put equality into its trinity, liberty, equality, fraternity, and ended up with the guillotine. American Revolution did not. It ended up with the freest society in the world. France made the Statue of Liberty not for itself. It made it for America. But you can't have it, the founder said, without God. You don't have to be a Christian, but the God, if you will, of the Ten Commandments at minimum. Because if your rights come from man, man can take them away. And e pluribus unum, you can have blacks, you can have Asians, you can have Native Americans, you can have whites, you can have every nationality, but we're all American, from many one. Those three are the only way to preserve America as America, and all of them are being warred on by the left.
Big task ahead in your mind.
Big. That's correct. You can lose. Civilization can be crushed in one generation. Germany was the most advanced, artistic, cultured country in Europe. People say, how could the country that gave us Beethoven and Bach and Schiller and Heine give us Auschwitz? It's a common question. Of course, it's not asked at colleges today because they never heard of Beethoven, Bach, Schiller, Heine, or Auschwitz. But nevertheless, those who heard of them asked that question. And the answer is, it can happen anywhere. We are watching the undoing of American liberty in one generation. In our case, by those who call themselves progressives.
Dennis Prager, I think I'm going to have to end with that. Even though I don't like to end on this kind of a note, but I think it's important.
It is. Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you on.
My honor.